Back to local political issues now. With me, Labor's Peter Khalil and Liberal MP Tim Wilson. Tim Wilson, first to you on this report, the front page of The Australian today. Trevor Evans, your Liberal counterpart from Brisbane, he's keeping open the option of potentially crossing the floor to help Labor bring on a parliamentary motion when it comes to same-sex marriage. What's your position on that? Would you consider the same thing?
Well, Trevor's one of our great new performers of the class of 2016 and an outstanding contributor as far as I'm concerned. He also did what I did, which was he voted for the plebiscite and discharged his responsibility on this issue. And, you know, despite people's personal difference of opinion on the issue, honoured their commitment to their electorates. Trevor has done that. I have done that, as have many others. And the task and the challenge now forward is for the government to find a pathway through this issue to make sure that we deliver. And I mean, my views are completely crystal clear. They've been on the record. I know journalists are used to politicians changing their positions depending on the interview and based on the events at the time. If you go back through every single interview I've done with you, Kieran, over the past year, you'll find peppered consistently my view about pathway forward on this issue and what I think needs to be done.
So is a parliamentary vote possible then within the next few weeks?
Well, I don't have an answer to that. I'm going to talk to my parliamentary colleagues, to my community, as well as to my party members over the next few weeks and talk to them directly about the challenges we face. And, you know, let's be frank, the personal tensions I have on this issue. As I said, I always said politely that the plebiscite wasn't my first preference of the way to deal with this issue. I obviously have a personal conflict which is torments, frankly, and challenges me on a daily basis. And I'd like to see this issue resolved. Because when you look at, or the pathway I look at issues of how to resolve them, I think about what's in the best interest of the country, what's in the best interest of the community, what's in the best interest of the party, and then finally, what's in the best interest of the self. When it comes down to it, it's in the best interest of the country for this issue to be resolved. I know what my community thinks. Opinion polls have showed 77% of my electorate has the highest support base for a change in law in the country. I actually got my office to do an aggregate analysis of feedback, unique contributions to my office on this issue. 96% of the feedback to my office came in favour of support of a change in law. 4% didn't. And of those 4%, there was only one that argued strongly in favour of the plebiscite position. When you look at my party, I think it's in our best interest to move on from this issue so we can focus on the things that I think people voted for me and for my party to deal with. Tax reform, fixing the budget, national security, making sure that we stop terrorism. And then obviously I have my own personal view.
Yeah. Peter Khalil, your thoughts on where all of this is at? Obviously, if there is a free vote allowed, if that were to happen with the Liberals or backbenchers taking it upon themselves to cross the floor, as the Liberals say they're within their rights to do, Liberal backbenchers can vote according to their right and cross the floor and not be expelled, as would be the case by a Labor MP. Labor needs to be pretty careful here not to politicise this issue and alienate some of those who share your view on it.
Yeah, look, Kieran, I know Tim is in a very difficult position. We all know that a free vote in the parliament is the fastest, the least expensive, the least harmful way to go about making a decision on this issue. What a legacy Tim would leave if he joined Trevor and other members of the Liberal Party if they were to vote for this, if it was put forward in a private member's bill, as it has been in the past. And I think it's about time that the National Parliament actually makes a decision on this, because, as Tim says, a lot of people want to go on and move on to bigger and more important issues. I mean, this is a very important issue, but other issues that are of national importance. And I think Tim and Trevor and others who believe in a change in the law should join us and vote for this if it comes up in the next couple of weeks.
Tim, just quickly before we move on, your thoughts on the warnings that this could undermine, threaten the coalition agreement, given the Nationals, not all of them. The Cabinet Minister Darren Chester supports legalisation of same-sex marriage from memory, but the coalition agreement apparently, according to George Christensen and others, would be put at threat by this.
Well, firstly, I've never seen a copy of the coalition agreement. It's not something that, is found on bus stops or anywhere else. And to be frank, the people who say that, I'm not even convinced they've seen a copy of the coalition agreement. And as I've said on this program before, the right of a conscience vote is the right of every single federal Liberal parliamentarian, and it's not something that can be traded away. And my position has always been that I have a free vote in this parliament. So if you go back through every single interview, I've consistently said that. I was elected to honour and to fulfil a plebiscite position. I did. I discharged the responsibility on that. But the second part of that, and it's very important, there's a second part, and Tony Abbott confirmed it only last week, that every federal member of parliament in this parliament has a free vote on the issue of marriage for same-sex couples, and that cannot be traded away in some sort of an agreement with any other political party.
And Mr Abbott, as Prime Minister, did say you'd only be bound for one term anyway, so let's see how that all plays out, Peter Khalil. In terms of political donations, Sam Dastyari says he's now calling for them to be banned entirely. This is, quite a turnaround from Sam Dastyari, who, of course, lost his front bench position over matters related to that.
Yeah, Kieran, I saw that from Senator Dastyari. And of course, this type of big reform has been discussed in the past. I think Senator Faulkner in the past has also talked about that. Look, I've got questions around that type of reform. I mean, obviously there'll be a big burden on the taxpayer. There's also the point that, your local community, local members who might want to support a local candidate at a trivia night should be permitted to do so. And I think what's really important, though, is I would hope that Tim and the government would actually, in a bipartisan fashion, adopt Labor's plan. We've put forward, and Bill Shorten has put forward, a private member's bill to ban all foreign donations and to reduce the disclosure threshold. He's written to Malcolm Turnbull, and the government has just sat on their hands on this issue. He's also written
but not
to
all
Malcolm
donations,
Turnbull.
not all. You don't agree?
No. I mean, I think people should be able to support their local candidate. If local businesses want to support Tim in his seat, if people want to go to a trivia night, support their candidate, I think people should have that flexibility to do that. But we've got reform that we've put to the government to ban foreign donations, and Bill has also written to Malcolm Turnbull about referring the issue around foreign interference to the Intelligence Committee to determine whether a foreign agency register, if you like, a foreign powers agency register, would be something that would be appropriate for our system as well. And we've just seen the government just sit on their hands on this. And by the way, I should also add, we have banned donations from tobacco companies now for the best part of a decade, and I think the Liberal National Party continue to take those donations.
Well, firstly, we need to start by saying that's actually...
move on foreign donations, isn't it, Tim Wilson?
Well, first we need to correct the record. Actually, the Liberal Party doesn't accept donations from tobacco
companies.
That's good news. That was done about 6 years ago. So,
great.
Welcome to the party, Peter.
It's
great to see you finally getting on board.
Took you a while.
On foreign donations, my personal private view has always been that I don't support taking private donations. That's my view. But I think we need to get to the thrust of what Sam Dastyari is actually putting forward, which is he wants to ban all donations. Now, I simply can't accept that. When it comes down to it, people have a right, and it's more than just a trivia night, although that might be the trivial nature in which people support Peter.
It's not trivial at all. It's local
everybody
people coming
needs to be able to come together and support their local member of parliament.
It's called grassroots democracy.
And it's called, you're actually right, that's called grassroots democracy. We should encourage that. And in fact, I think we should want people to have buy-in to the success of their candidates in parliament. So I can't support a position that bans all donations at all, and I think it would be extremely damaging for democracy, because the only alternative is then political parties become entirely dependent on the taxpayer. It favours the Liberal Party, the Labor Party, the National Party and the Greens Party at the expense of an open democracy where anybody can compete unless you're really rich, such as the experience with Clive Palmer.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. Tim Wilson, Peter Khalil, good to see you both. We'll talk to you soon.